Hey YouTube, this is Decatur. Welcome to the channel. Talk about my time ASUS ROG Ally. I've had this about 6 months. I got it during a Live sale last November. That was when they dropped the device about $100 off the original MSRP. It was $609. They dropped it down to $599. At the time, my local Best Buy had a open box for at around $499, and so after taxes I picked mine up about $550. That was about the price I felt the device should have been from the onset, and so when it hit that price I jumped on it as soon as possible. In case of the device I received, mine is the one with the Z1 Extreme processor with 512 gigabytes of hard drive storage. Mine's has since been modified to use a 2 terabyte hard drive. The current BIOS is 337, and the AMD graphics drivers are of March 2024 with Windows Update 2.3H2. Going over the hardware. So when I picked up the device, open box, I think acceptable condition or good condition. And I got it, didn't have too many scuffs on it. Right, it's fairly clean. Didn't appear to have too many external discrepancies with it. I've since, of course, scuffed it up a bit by dropping and whatnot. But when I received it, it was good quality. Now, I think the price, the reason why it was so low is because at the time I think it was returned because of the SD card issue that everybody was getting, or quite a few people were getting with their devices. When I had originally tested out, I found that the SD card was having it, or that the SD card that was present in the device did have issues when the device was full clip. It would cut out, and so I'm figuring that was the reason why it was returned and why the price was so low. But yeah, overall, aside from that, the controls for the device I felt were pretty good. I feel like the joysticks could be a little bit better, but for the most part I'm able to play my games quite well. The D-pad, even though I'm not the biggest fan of it, it serves definitely for navigating the user interface of the device. It's nice and smooth, and in gameplay, like in fighting games and whatnot, it's serviceable. It gets the job done. I'm in love with the big A, B, X, Y buttons. They're easy to hit. You can't miss them. They're nice and clicky. As far as the triggers are nice. Really good for racing games, or for games that require you to perform slow movements. Pressing down on the analog triggers is lightly is really effective with these triggers. And then the bumpers, the left and right butter, nice and clicky. I tend to have issues clicking them sometimes in certain games, like I think maybe because the tight placement of them. Sometimes where I may either miss them, but for the most part, I really like them. It's just a small nitpick. As far as the screen, you guys know this is a 1080p screen with a variable refresh rate, 120 hertz refresh rate. It's a very beautiful screen. It was top of the line before the Legion Go, and then the OLED Steam Deck came out, but still, even though it might be a little bit behind, it's still a fantastic screen. And lastly, the audio in any game, especially that has either really good atmosphere, really good soundtrack, it's definitely an experience to behold. Software wise, so right now you're looking at Armory Crate. Right now you're looking at the game library. One of the things I love is the fact that, hey, when you start up the device, Armory Crate will start up with or as the overlay. Everything's easy to get to. You can even modify the screen to sort by the platform in which you have downloaded your games. So like right now, most of my stuff is in Steam. I have another in Battle.net, and then things like other games, then others. Well, these are just the launchers, but I don't think an Xbox currently installed on this device, but if I did, it would show up on this list as well. And it'd be all easy to get to, and it's fairly organized. I think as a default, it does recently played, so if you say we're just, Dead Cells, it would, once you start it, turns out as the first game in your list. Looking at settings, so right now you can, so the first thing you can modify is the control mode of the device. You're given two of which, one being gamepad mode as well as desktop mode. With gamepad mode, you can modify things like the key mapping, which I haven't quite done yet. You can modify the sensitivity of the left and right joysticks, modify the sensitivity of the analog triggers, modify the vibration intensity, as well as gyro sensitivity. Currently I have gyro set to where it's enabled with M2 in the back. In this case it'll turn off, well, I guess it'll turn off the gyro if I hit that button. So naturally gyro should be enabled while I'm using the device, and then I can turn it off with M2. I haven't really used it in too many games, or haven't noticed it being in use in certain games, so I don't think about it too much. Then you can do the same modifications in desktop mode. This is basically when you are on the main window screen and you're using the joysticks as a mouse. I'll just go over operating modes for now. So again, you have like 3 operating modes. One being silent, which I think puts the device at 10 watts, or the APU power draw at 10 watts. Performance, which is set to 15, and then 15 watts usage by the APU. And then turbo mode on battery, it's at 25 watts. And then plugged in, which I am currently not plugged in. When the device is plugged in, the APU will pull 25 watts, or 30 watts, sorry. For Eco Assist, so you're given the option of extreme standby and monitor standby mode, or assistant. Basically, it'll put the device in a hibernating state, stashing whatever you had on your desktop, or that was currently, whatever application that was currently running is stashed in memory. It'll basically go in a faux shutdown state, so that when you turn on the device again, it'll basically pick up right where you left off. In game, it works so far most of the time. I know earlier in the distribution of this device, modern standby and like restarting games from sleep was quite the hassle. This has gotten better over the course of various software updates. And looking at the GPU settings, so right now I currently have mine at 6 gigabytes assigned memory to the GPU. I mean, that's only because I play games that have mods in it, and so I need the extra memory. But most of the time I've been playing it with auto to let the device itself modify the memory usage per game. And then you have the various AMD graphics options like Radeon Super Resolution, Anti-Lag, Boost, Chill, and Radeon Image Sharpening. And looking at the command center, so right now some of the features I have added to the command center button, the ability to modify the operating modes, toggle for the controller modes, the real-time performance of the device, PS limiter, keyboard. If we jump into that real quick, currently with the keyboard I have it set to a split mode so that I can use my thumbs and whatnot when I'm navigating the desktop or text boxes inside a video game, or on websites, or logging in. Show windows, top, enable controller or enable embedded controller, quick toggle for RSR if the game will allow it, toggles for various resolutions, which includes 720p, 1080p, and 900p, toggle for refresh rate. I keep it at 120, but if I say need extra battery, I'll drop it down to 60. And CPU boost, which I, for the most part, keep off so that I have more power sent to the APU to boost performance. And then end task, which is absolutely necessary for if one of your games or a website hangs up and um, you need to exit out of that application without having to bring up Task Manager or bring up the desktop. You have that button right at your disposal. And so, just want to go over quick gameplay with the device. So going back to the game library, let's see. Let's start with Soul Calibur 6. It's the only fighting game I have on this device. We'll let that load up. So right now, I have the device at 25 watt turbo. What I failed to mention was manual mode, which allows you to modify the power usage that the APU can see. So right now I have it set at 13, but for Soul Calibur, I'm gonna boost that up to 18 watts. This should enable us to run at a constant 60. And this is a newer feature where you can modify the manual mode or modify the power usage of the APU on the fly right through the command center button. Originally, when this first device dropped, you didn't have that feature. I think you would have to jump into Armory, create directly into settings, and then modify the mode from there. Now they gave it to you in the command center overlay, which is absolutely amazing. But please don't use this feature inside any current FPS shooters because you might get banned. It's kind of sad. Apply. So that comes in. Let's do a quick battle. Play versus CPU. Let's jump into a quick battle. Ooh. Okay. I'm not the best at this game, but we'll do our best. So you notice that right now we are total system power 21 watts. We're doing about 60 frames per second. I might lose this. And again, we're at oh my god, I got beat. 900p, 18 watts. We're doing 60 frames in Soul Calibur 6. So we'll exit out of this. And let's jump into another game. Oops. You'll notice on the performance overlay, you see AFMF. That's AMD's fluid motion frames. Now currently it doesn't work with the performance overlay. I have the AMD software set to use or to overlay the performance using AMD's software, but for some reason currently I can't get it to work. You'll see like performance bar or box that shows up here. I'm gonna pull up Fallout 4. Option 600p, so we're good there. I'm gonna boost the brightness. Hit play. Okay, and so you'll notice it here. So performance box. So we have this overlay here. We need to use AMD software in order to trigger AFMF. So jump in. I lost the overlay. I'm gonna have. And let's see if it comes back when I get in game. Dang it. So it's working. I'm definitely moving fast, but so I'm going to disable AFMF and just give you an idea of how much FPS we are actually getting with it now disabled. So this is 18 watts manual mode, 900p, and you see that we're doing about 60 frames, or between 54 and 60 frames, depending on where we're looking. Which is good performance, even though this game is 5+ years old. You know, we see that we can get some good performance with it. Even though, again, the wattage, even though I'm doing 18 watt, I'm requesting 18 watts for the APU. Obviously, the system as a whole is requiring way more. So if you're expecting good battery life with this game, not gonna happen. You'll probably get over an hour on full charge. I won't dive in because I'm at the water treatment plant with all the super mutants, and they face roll me at the moment. So we'll dive in later. Of course, I was at a location that didn't have too many enemies in a firefight with the super mutants, and we're still doing about 60. And this is with AFMF disabled because I have the performance overlay. With it on, if I didn't have too many issues with it on, I'd see about 70 to 80 FPS, which is great. And maybe one more. Starfield takes a while to load up. We'll try it. I'll probably skip ahead the video while the shader's loading. Okay, so right now I'm on the ship. Where am I? I'm gonna exit off the ship real quick.
Every world with living things is a treasure.
Okay. Some CODIS. I'm turning on performance overlay. So right now, again, 18 watts to the APU. 35 watts used by the system. No AFMF. And on world, I'm doing 50 frames. And this is 900p with it's a medium low mix. Oh, and FSR3 and frame generation with 25% sharpening. Yeah, so with that we're doing about 50 frames, which is definitely more than playable for this game. In the city, of course, it'll, if we go to Jemison, it'll drop down to about 30-ish frames, which is serviceable. It's not the best, but it'll get us moving. So yeah, that's Starfield. Good times. Yeah, just recently done a mission fighting somebody in that ship. I forget who it was. But yeah. So exiting out. And so while we're exiting out, it takes a while for it to go. So some final thoughts. Um, I love this device. I think it was, aside from the minor issues that it had, uh, a very good investment on my part. I absolutely love it. Of course, there are some negatives. A couple I mentioned earlier. The one being with the SD card. Of course, I purchased this open box because of the price of the device at the time. It was $100 off plus $100 with the open box. Given that it had that SD card issue, as I mentioned, obviously that's a big negative. Now, rather than be stuck with the SD card issue, I decided to upgrade the original hard drive to a much bigger one, which kind of alleviates that issue. So right now I have, what, 40-ish games, or 30 plus pretty big games on here. And so not having the SD card isn't much of a problem. And upgrading the device is relatively easy, so I'm really not concerned with the issue. But for those who do happen to get a new device and have that issue, obviously, and you don't want to tinker with the device to say upgrade it, losing that SD card is obviously a hamper on your upgradability of the device. And also, as another negative, as I mentioned before, so this device comes with a fairly small battery. It's only 40 watt hours, and so if you're playing like Fallout 4, you notice it was pulling like 35 watts. You're only going to get just over an hour, at 900p. That's all you're going to get. And so if you wanted to play more with that game, you're not going to be able to. But now, as a plus, this device comes with a pretty fast charger. So if you needed to charge the battery fast, you give it about an hour or two and you're back up and running. But I mean, if you want to play off power for a while, having a small battery is definitely a negative. Aside from that, another one of my final thoughts. So things that could be improved. Obviously, the battery life can be improved. Did make some nitpicks about the D-pad. That it's serviceable, but it could be better. What else? What I didn't mention hardware-wise. So up top, you have access to their proprietary connector for if you wanted to connect an eGPU. For me, that wasn't a thing that I was going to get involved with, connecting an eGPU to, so it wasn't a concern to me. But having only one USB port is a negative. It'd be nice to be able to not only charge the device, but also be able to connect, other devices to it without losing your ability to charge. So things that can be improved, definitely adding a new USB port would be helpful. And maybe if they do add that USB port, it's like USB 4, so that if you do want to add a GPU, you don't have to be stuck using ASUS's option. Another thing they can improve, obviously putting a SD card in a much better place than where it's currently at. Now, during this time of making this video, you've probably already seen the video from ASUS detailing that they're going to be dropping, I don't know if you would call it a refresh of sorts, but definitely a improved version of the ASUS ROG Ally. That they're going to be detailing that on June 2nd. That should include updates to definitely the hard drive, keeping the processor, keeping the screen, but they'll probably be adding another port. Black as a color, something I kind of wish this device also had, given that the MSI Claw is out with its black casing. What else? I mean, I guess with respect to all that, things that can be improved, they should be improved with the next device that's coming this June. But as far as, say, the ROG Ally 2 that's coming in the future, I hope to see those improvements implemented on that device as well. As far as some recommendations, for those who have no problem getting into or tinkering with their devices, I would say you should pick this guy up, but definitely on open box. $699, which I think the device is currently running at a bit high. Open box, If you want to pay $6.99 for it, I'm not certain if it's worth it given this issue and the battery life, but I mean, if you want it, go for it. I definitely went and picked mine up on OpenBox. But again, if you're a tinkerer, this is definitely a good device to toy with. It's easy to upgrade, or it's easy to access. Now it's just 6 screws on the back. You can easily pop it off, and if you want to upgrade the hard drive, you can go and do so. But for those who are not tinkerers, I would say, given the current state of the device and ASUS's customer service, so if there's any issues with the device that might fall under warranty for repair, you guys have probably seen Gamers Nexus's review of ASUS's customer service. I would say I would not recommend this device in its current state until ASUS as a company shows better judgment on how to deal with their customers. It kind of falls against my current statement above. If you're a tinkerer, go ahead. I would definitely recommend this device. This device is really good, but if you're the type who's not the type who tinkers with the device, and there's issues that crop up that occur under warranty, and you find that you might have to deal with ASUS customer service, I'd probably be skittish about it. But of course, during my time having the device outside of the SD card issue, the device itself has been pretty good. I haven't had any issues with joysticks, but as a future modification, am planning on getting rid of the joysticks anyway, and getting them replaced with Hall effect joysticks. Also, as a future upgrade, I plan on getting the backplate removed and getting a new backplate from either Hardware DIY or JSOX. And then, doing further modifications to it. It's just something I want to do with the device, and the device makes it easy to do so. With that, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please subscribe if you want to see more content.